Hi guys, ever wondered what it'd be like to take a tiny kid's bike, slap a monstrous motor on it, and race it against a Ferrari? That's exactly what I did, and trust me, it was a roller coaster of thrills, spills, and a whole lot of chaos. From hunting down a dirt-cheap motor to crashing at insane speeds, this project was wild. Stick around to see how I turned a childhood toy into a speed demon, and whether it could outrun a supercar. To pull this off, I needed a beast of a motor. I hit up the online classifieds and scored this massive 30 horsepower outboard motor for just €150. Total steal, right? But here's the catch. I had no clue if it even worked. So I hooked it to a battery, crossed my fingers, and fired it up. It roared to life like a chainsaw on steroids, so loud I thought the neighbors might call the cops. Success. Now, fitting this giant into a kid's bike? That was the real challenge. I stripped the frame down, ditched the starter to shave off 5 kilos, and bolted the motor in place. It was like Dr. Frankenstein stitching together a speed-crazed monster. Picture this, a tricycle with a jet engine strapped to it. Insane, right? But here's where I started sweating. Those little tires were made for 5 kilometers per hour strolls, not 200 kilometers per hour sprints. Could they handle it? I spun the rear wheel to 190 kilometers per hour in a test. They held up, barely. I breathed a sigh of relief, but deep down, I knew I was pushing my luck. I grabbed my tools and started tearing the bike apart to make room for the motor. As I'm wrenching off the pedals, I'm laughing to myself about this time I tried fixing my cousin's skateboard as a kid. I thought duct tape and a soup can would turn it into a rocket. Ended up with a wobbly mess that dumped me into a bush. Classic rookie move. Anyway, I'm grinding down the frame, sparks flying, widening the slot for that beastly engine. This bike's getting a serious glow up. Hope it doesn't betray me like that skateboard did. Speaking of betrayal, I'm cutting away this rusty chain guard, and it reminds me of when I upgraded my sister's tricycle with a soda can exhaust. I thought it'd sound cool, ended up blasting her with cola fumes mid-ride. She chased me with a stick for an hour. Anyway, I'm slicing the frame here, bolting in supports for the motor. This beast's gonna fit like a glove. Fingers crossed. This motor was built to gulp lake water for cooling, but I wasn't riding through a pond. So I rigged up a scooter radiator instead. It wasn't pretty, but it kept the beast from melting down, like giving it its own tiny AC unit. Now, I'm bolting this engine down tight. Reminds me of when I fixed my dad's lawnmower with zip ties. It ran for 5 seconds before spitting grass everywhere. I'm hooking the chain to the wheel too. No explosions this time, I hope. To crank up the power, I swapped the puny carburetor for a bigger one. Think of it like upgrading from a straw to a fire hose. More fuel, more fury. Back in the day, I tuned scooters for fun. This felt like that, but on steroids. With the motor bolted on, it was go time. No starter meant I had to crank it with a cordless drill. Ghetto, but effective. When it fired up, the bike shook like it was possessed. I couldn't believe it. I'd built the craziest kid's bike ever. Have you ever made something so ridiculous you're shocked it works? That was me. Speed's great, but stopping's better. I slapped on some beefy brakes to tame this beast. Safety first, or at least that's what I told myself. I'm torquing down these monster disc brakes now, and it takes me back to when I upgraded my old BMX with a homemade parachute stop, literally a grocery bag tied to the seat. First hill I hit, it ripped off, and I plowed into my neighbor's hedge. He still brings it up at barbecues. Anyway, these brakes are no joke. Hydraulic, grippy, perfect for wrestling this speed demon to a halt. Let's hope they hold. Helmet on, heart pounding, I took it to a quiet road for its first ride. I twisted the throttle and it surged forward, pure adrenaline. But at 60 kilometers per hour, it started wobbling like a drunk tightrope walker. I nearly ate dirt, but wrestled it to a stop. Lesson 1. This thing had a mind of its own. The wobble came from the motor's 2 cylinders firing off-beat, shaking the bike apart. I bolted on a steering damper to steady it. Steering got tougher, but it beat crashing into a ditch. I added a guard so my pants wouldn't get chewed up by the motor and welded an exhaust to keep flames off my leg. It turned this bike into a legit flamethrower. Dangerous, but badass. Now I'm bolting on a fender to shield the wheel. Reminds me of when I customized my go-kart with a cardboard spoiler. Rain hit, it dissolved, and I skidded into a puddle like a soggy cartoon villain. I'm welding this exhaust tighter now. No slip-ups here. Time to see the real numbers. I strapped it to a dyno and revved it hard. Speed climbed. 50, 100, 150. Then, bam! At 197.6 kilometers per hour, the tire blew like a grenade. If that had happened on the road, I wouldn't be here talking to you. For the Ferrari Face-Off, I grabbed tougher tires and softened the damper for better control. My buddy Rudy lent us his sleek red supercar. Huge thanks, man. Standing next to it with my Frankenstein bike, I felt like David sizing up Goliath. The race kicked off and I gunned it. For a split second, I was in the game. Then the wobble hit hard. The bike oscillated like a pendulum gone rogue. I fought to hold it, but it threw me off, sliding across the asphalt. My leather suit saved my skin, just bruises and a dented ego. Did I beat the Ferrari? Nope, not even close. But I learned a ton about engineering, risk, and why kids' bikes aren't built for 200 kilometers per hour. It was a wild ride worth every second. If you loved this chaos, drop a comment. Should I try again with better tires? Got a crazy build idea? Hit me up, like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more insane adventures.